Hey guys, this is bringing you another video and welcome to a patch note video, and I will just open it by saying I'm a bit tired. So I've had a busy day, normal day, big thing with Maya in the morning, streamed the whole day and went really well, by the way. You'll see the content over the next few days. Then I had to do another really big walk with Maya because it was my mum's birthday. So I've literally, I'm not kidding, walked through the front door 3 minutes ago and I'm making the patch note video straight away. It is a little bit late, but I want to get it done. So if you appreciate the effort, do throw a like on it. Let me know what you think about the patch notes. And if you don't want to send a full comment, just put an emoji and I'll know what you kind of meant. So yeah, let's get into it. May not be the most in detail, I will say, because I will, I did do a whole video talking about the changes that they are making when it comes to season 2. Just to be very clear, there is no ranked reset. I know it's really confusing. I've had people come to my Twitch channel going, oh, wait, is ranked resetting now? Is season 2? No. The plan originally was it was going to, because remember last year we had 3 basically rank splits and you'll rank reset every single split. That was an experiment that went really bad. It made a lot of people stop playing the game. So Riot ditched that in terms of the ranked resets that were happening, but they obviously were designing things for the next year and they can't really bail from all of it. So we're having 3 different seasons that has 3 different aesthetics. The first one was Noxus, Act 1, Act 2. Now we're going into Spirit Blossom, Act 1, Act 2. And then season 3 will be somewhere else, Act 1, Act 2. There is small gameplay changes in between the seasons, but the major gameplay will always be in the first season of a year. So we won't have anything radically different until the first season in 2026. Can you believe that just sounds crazy? But anyway, let's get into it. So, patch highlights. We're getting nerfs to Gwen finally. Callista, Neferi, and Yorick. Still no Warwick, which is weird. Buffs, however, to Annie, Ashe, Xante, Leona, Morgana, Orianna, and Shen. I will say I've officially looked it up. This is Shen getting a buff in 5 patches now in a row. They really want Shen to be meta. If I had to say like why, obviously, it's still a health stacking meta. Riot aren't doing anything about that. But top lane fundamentally is all about 1v1 and all about tower killing. Shen fits that quite well. They buffed his Q to now work on towers. His 1v1s have never been terrible. But the problem that Shen has got is he has to go leave and help his team with his ultimate. And that leaves the enemy top laner free to do whatever they want and mainly kill towers. So I think they're trying to buff Shen to be stronger individually. So let's say he could kill his opponent 1v1, then look for an ultimate. It's trying to kind of bring him up to par with what the champions are. He's never going to be as good of a 1v1er as Trundle. He's never going to kill towers as well as Trundle, but he can have more global impact. But they need him to be stronger to do that. System changes to Biscuits. Are they bringing mana back to them? That would be nice. Boots of Swifties, Ignite, Rod of Ages, Symbiotic Souls, Tier 3 boot upgrades, and Unflinching. And then all the new skins, by the way, I believe are in the Battle Pass, including the Pool Party Twitch, which obviously doesn't go. But I will say, I was in the dev meeting for this season. The skins are definitely in higher quality than what, the Noxus Act 1 and Act 2 were. They're still not insane, but they are better. But let's get into it. So the first change is, Spirit Blossom Rift. So bye-bye Noxus. And obviously, Act 1 was just very Noxus. Act 2 was more Black Rose, LeBlanc inspired. Presumably, there'll be some map changes for Act 2 in this season. But it's starting like this. So obviously, a lot more cool tones, a lot more bluey green, less red. So I think more people will like this aesthetic than the Noxus one. We're getting Battle Pass stuff. So yeah, the rewards, you're getting the skins, you're getting orbs, you're getting mythic essence, you're obviously getting your chests, and emotes. So there is more involved. If you want a full breakdown, feel free to look at all the breakdown there. As for if people say, Huz, will you get it? Yeah, probably. I think I was gifted the first one ever, maybe by Riot, because they were trying to make it kind of a hype thing. So I think I was given it, but obviously that was the worst one they ever did. I got the second one myself, if I'm not gifted it, I might get this, you know. It is nice to get the rewards. Battle passes inherently, obviously they're in every game now. They're all right, you know, fair enough. So, first big gameplay change is Atakhan. So, Atakhan no longer has 2 forms. I think it was too hard to balance, and everybody hated the revive mechanic. So, they've gotten rid of that one. So, now he basically is 1 form. That basically, as the story has progressed, he's being captured by the Black Rose. And basically, they've kind of like changed him, experimented with him, and now he's a bit different. So, basically, he is now just Thornbound, hence why the Black Rose has captured him. There are still like the petals, you know, that are going around the map. They're called spirit petals or bloody petals. They are granting 25% increased XP and adaptive force. And if you kill him on the takedown, you know where it used to like drop a lot of the roses and you had to pick them up? It just gets all the roses on the map get sucked to the team that kill him. So I'm a bit 50-50 on that, because sometimes, oh, you know, the hero jungler gets the smite on the Atakhan, which is still good that you stole Atakhan, but a lot of the value was actually all the roses, all the XP, all the adaptive force. That did add up quite a lot. Well, that just now automatically goes to the team that gets him. So stealing it, just a random smite steal from a jungler, is even more important now, because your team get all the benefit from Atakhan. So that's interesting. Bounties. So no, what are they doing here? I may sometimes actually like looking at this stuff. It's better to actually read what they're saying is happening, because you actually get a better idea. So we're adjusting bounties this season to make them more a useful comeback mechanism, which is that's what they're supposed to be. They are now more powerful for the losing team, can no longer hurt the losing team, and should more accurately reflect the game's state. We're generally paying out more gold than before and cleaning up some rules for accuracy and fairness. Obviously, they've had to do a lot of adjusting and stuff by, you know, the very popular content creator. He's a great guy, but the Bounce of FS, he, you know, it was a genius, you know, using the systems against basically Riot of farming, being the highest farm in the gold on Sion, half inting. And that's, again, the word inting, he was intentionally dying, but not intentionally like losing an inting, intentionally dying to benefit him, because he died, farmed the most than anybody, used zombie form Sion to get all the farm or deny farm, get back to lane quicker because his Sion's death counts from when Sion dies, not when the zombie dies. And then his enemy who he's laning against is building up a bounty because you're killing Sion, but he's actually getting giga strong, and then eventually he gets to cash in that bounty when he inevitably outscales somebody. It was a very smart, you know, play style. Maya's barking. So just to say, to explain the shift in champion bounty suppression, currently in close games where one individual on each team is trying the hardest to carry, they both can get large bounties. The first one to claim the shutdown surges far into the lead, which feels unfair, especially if one of them is playing a higher risk champion like a diver or an assassin. So what they're saying here is that, say, one team is getting destroyed versus the other team in general, but randomly, let's say the top laner on the losing team is actually beating his opponent really well. You know, that happens quite often, right? Because top lanes are 1v1, one top laner usually wins, but then the rest of the map is going absolutely mad. What they're probably trying to say is, oh, that top laner who is winning really well, but the rest of their team is doing terrible, they're not going to get a bounty anymore because they are on the losing team. And that doesn't feel great. You're like, I'm worth 700 gold to kill. My team is all feeding, so guess what the enemy team is going to do? Let's go cash in the bounty on the one strong person on the enemy team. Obviously, it would still be smart for the enemy to go stop the top laner who is doing well, but they're, you know, to gain more benefit with a bounty doesn't make sense when they're on the losing team as well. That's what they're basically doing. So now both of these champions will be worth the default kill gold until their team starts meaningfully winning. So that's basically it. So I'm kind of okay with that. I think that's fair enough. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the detailed details, but that's in essence what they're doing. Void Epic Monsters, and I'm just going to open a can of Fanta Fruit Twist, excuse me. All right, so they're doing a bunch of changes because what I think fundamentally, and I remember in the dev meeting, the roaming meta, especially when it comes to support, I think people are a little bit over now. And a big part of why that even happens is 6 minutes in, the first void grubs spawn, and then a few minutes later, the second lot spawns. They are actual reasons why the support roams. Like that is a definitive reason that randomly, oh well, a bard is top lane at 5.5 minutes. Yeah, because void grubs are up in 30 seconds. And again, bard makes more sense than every other support. There's been sonas in my lane in top lane at 5.5 minutes. You're like, why are you here? So they're actually changing void grubs. So it now spawns at 8 minutes later into the game, and that's it. There's only 3 of them. There's not 6. There's not 2 rounds of them. There's just 3. There's what happens at one time 8 minutes into the game. So I'm kind of happy with that. It is worth mentioning. So when it comes to the strength of them, basically in gist, the feel of them, if you have all 3, it will feel similar to what 6 is now. If you have 2 of them, it will feel similar to what 4 feels like now. If you've got 1, it will feel like what 2 is right now in terms of what it used to feel, more or less. So yeah. Rift Herald, they've also changed. So now spawns at 15 minutes. They've removed the single target damage debuff, which basically made it really slow to kill Rift Heralds because it actually makes you do less damage if you're doing it by yourself, kind of thing. But the target current HP bonus damage is going up. So basically, it's riskier to do Rift Herald because Rift Herald will be doing more damage back to you, but you'll also be doing more damage to Rift Herald, especially in a 1v1 situation. So again, why they're doing this is making it less reliant that a support has to be over there to help. It's risky to do it by yourself, but you definitely can. And obviously you could do it by yourself before, it just took quite a long time. It won't take a long time, but you will be damaged by doing it. So I'm fine with that. And then the summon pet is also having a small update, just quality of life changes. So there we go. Position binding and role swapping. So it's a small little thing, but basically they're doing things to role swap detection is still happening. Death screen they're making improvements to, and also kill streak SFX is just getting a bit of an update, but they won't be happening yet. But just to kind of say TLDR, changes to the jungle support roles. Jungle will be auto-assigned smite, and the only one smite is allowed per team. And also support players will now automatically be given the support item World Atlas. The reason, by the way, for this, it won't impact basically anything, is the idea, but it only impacts cheese play. So there has been metas of some top laners taking smite. There's been metas of supports going a Doran's item first and then going the support item after getting first blood. They're gone. Like that's basically, they're just getting rid of any massive cheese play without a smite or double smite or support item on top laners as well. That's happened before. So they're just getting rid of it. So I'm kind of more or less okay with it. So because of this, by the way, in champion select now, because if people go, so wait, can you not trade? Because if I say I'm a support and then I want to actually mid lane, but I'm going to be stuck with the World Atlas item. So now you actually can trade your role in champion select. So if you actually agree in the chat saying, oh, can someone else support? And someone says, you actually swap role in champion select. So then that new player that you've traded role with, they'll have the World Atlas starting item and you won't. And the same goes if you're trying to be if you're jungling, you automatically have smite. Nobody else can have it. So if you're trading away from jungle, you have to trade role. Otherwise, that other player cannot have smite. So that's what they're doing. And they're doing some stuff to lane swap meta as well. Again, this isn't as big for us, really. This is more like a pro thing, especially when it comes to top lane and bot lane swaps. So it's not massively a thing in solo queue. So big update as well to player behavior. Again, I did talk about this in my update video, but TLDR, I don't want to go over it too much, but basically inting, trolling, soft inting, even Riot said, is apparently way up in terms of detection. They're saying it's actually like, you know, by far better than it ever used to be, and punishments will actively start happening more and more and more. So we can hope. All right, ranked. So again, season 2 of ranked will start tomorrow at noon. So that's actually good to know because I start my stream at 11. I do a warm up TFT. So oh wait, no, I'll be starting. Oh, never mind. Tomorrow I'm not streaming potentially, or streaming in the evening, so I'll be fine. Cool. But yeah, noon tomorrow, Wednesday, will be when it starts. So it'll be from midnight to night. So when this video is live, season 1 and ranked is gone, and it'll be back up in 12 hours of this video coming out. So there you go. Patch, obviously, season 1 rewards will be happening, and all that stuff. But again, no ranked reset. Don't worry about that. All right, let's get into the changes. So Annie, Q damage increase, W mana cost decrease, R magic penetration increase. So basically, they nerfed Annie, and I said this literally when they did it. They nerfed Annie in terms of being a health stacking burn mage, and they were like, she's a burst mage, guys. Burst meta is terrible right now. So when they nerfed it and they didn't really make it any better in any other way apart from burst, obviously Annie was going to suck. Because name something right now that's good for burst in mid lane as a mage. Everything isn't about that. Everything is about stacking health and doing burn damage. Why do you think Rod of Ages and then Liandry's is the most apparent build on practically every mage? I don't even like the Rod of Ages build, but there's a reason why it's happening, because when you have a Juggernaut up in top lane with 5,000 health who can also one-shot you, you can't go burst mage, because you can't burst him, and they can still kill you basically in one combo. So you have to go health stacking to survive and burn because they've got 5,000 plus health. Riot's done nothing about that, but then they nerfed like burn mage, and it doesn't make any sense. Like literally, I'd love to be a fly in the wall at Riot and be like, why are you not nerfing health stacking juggernauts in top lane? Like, I'm abusing them. They are way too overpowered. Riot's doing nothing about them. Weird. But anyway, and he's getting some buffs. So yeah, we're looking to amplify her identity as a burst mage. It will not do anything. You cannot play burst mage right now. Like, you can't. She may be okay in some absolute 1v1 mid lanes, but the moment that set top lane comes roaming down, what's Annie going to do? That moment that Garen comes down from top lane, the Darius, the Aatrox, the Riven, the Warwick, Yorick, like any of them, what is a burst mage going to do? Nothing. So she's getting some base health, base damage increase on her Q. Mana cost for her W is going down, and the magic penetration on Tibbers is going up. But again, people aren't building magic resist. They're building health. That's the problem. So this doesn't help to that, because you need percentage health damage to kill them, and that's what Riot nerfed away from Annie in terms of hurting her Malignance Liandry's build. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't know. So that won't really help Annie, by the way. Ashe, Q damage and bonus attack damage increased. So Ashe is a touch weak right now, so we're adding some power. I will say I do think it is linked. A lot of it, I think, is linked to how strong a lot of top lane champions are, and which is a weird thing to say, because a lot of people always go, oh, top lane's forgotten about it. I think top lane's the strongest role in the game right now in terms of absolute balance. Jungle is always the most influential, but I think top lane is the most powerful when it comes to the champions in the role right now. What can an Ashe do, again, to the same champions that I just named? Like, she's immobile. Yes, she can kite, but if a set flashes Stride Breaker, Ultimate E, she's dead. There's no counterplay there. So, I don't know. This isn't going to help that either. So, AD ratio is going up. Or no, it's going down in the early game, but then going up starting at level 2. And the bonus attack damage is also getting better starting at level 2. So there's that. Gwen, Giga OP champion. Like, again, probably maybe the strongest champion league. Like, I always kind of say, oh, that might be Warwick. Gwen is stronger than Warwick, because Warwick doesn't actually have absolute carry potential. Gwen does. Warwick does fall off, especially in mid to late game in terms of absolute carrying. Gwen doesn't. Gwen is insane. So, yeah. Armor growth decrease, passive damage to monster decrease, which obviously is a jungle nerf, and Q damage decreased as well. So all nerfs, one jungle nerf, two other stuff. So the armor growth is making her a bit squishier. It's not going to do a whole lot. And then her passive is just making her do a little bit less damage to monsters. So her jungle clear will be a bit slower. And then her Q, her damage, oh, that's quite a big nerf. Damage per snip is going from 5% ability power ratio to 2%. And the maximum damage, which obviously means adding all of this up, 60% plus 6 times her passive, is now 45% ability power with also 6. So it's a nerf. She's still going to be strong. Like mobility, invulnerability with her W. So yeah, mobility, invulnerability, true damage, ranged. It's just a recipe for very, very strong. So yeah. K'Sante. Again, an absolute mess of a champion. I have played against him fairly recently. He's stronger than people think. And I say, I think the problem that K'Sante has had is exactly what happened to Ornn a while ago. And when I say a while ago, a few years ago. Ornn was really strong. Like, really strong. And then people stopped playing him because boring. And I honestly think that's what's happened to K'Sante. K'Sante's more exciting than, let's say, an Ornn. But I actually think people struggle with the feeling of fairness when you play K'Sante. I think he's still pretty good. I think a lot of players who excel at K'Sante, though, they just want to play the other stuff now. The K'Sante players have moved on to exactly playing the stuff like Set, Yorick, etc. They're the same group of players, you know? So I don't actually think he's bad. I just think players have moved on because he is a bit near. So that's my opinion on it, but yeah. So he's just getting a base damage, again, damage for a tank champion, but a damage increase of his W. Okay. Kalista. So again, Kalista, we said this on stream earlier. We did have a very quick look at like what champions are being buffed and what nerf. We didn't see what they were doing, and everyone's like, that must be a pro play update. Yeah. So I remember a while ago, and again, years ago, Riot actually, they verbally said they gave up on balancing 3 champions. They left them in a nerfed state, and they said, we don't know what to do with them. They're too hard to balance for pro play and solo queue. So we're leaving them in a nerf state. We're very sorry. We'll come back, when we know what we're doing. It took over a year for them to really have a plan, and that was Kalista, Ryze, and Azir. The problem that Kalista's got is not very good in average ranks because of the absolute min-maxing, like, mechanical play, like hopping in between every single auto attack, maximizing it, using a Q, stacking on something, throwing the Q to then apply all the E stacks to another target and then pressing E. Like, she is hard to actually pull off, but when you have really good players who can consistently pull it off, she's insane. So pro play, they can pull her off every game, So she's getting nerfed, basically, for pro play. Hilariously, she's probably not that good in solo queue, but this is where we play on the same patch as pros. She's getting a nerf. So base health is going down, base AD is going down, and AD growth, though, is going up. So giving her better scaling, but again, her early game is very powerful, so that's fine. Her E Rend, which obviously is the big boom damage, is going very much down in the early game. 5 damage does add up, in the early. It'll obviously, 5 damage doesn't mean as much later, but you'll feel that in the early game, especially for like last hitting minions and stuff. So there's that. Leona, passive duration increase, Q mana cost decrease, and E mana cost decrease as well. So yeah, the problem that Leona's got, and I have said this before, there's not much point to play Leona when Rel exists. Like, they did a really good update when they reworked Rel, like, in a mini way, because Rel obviously kind of sucked before, but they made her better. Rel is practically better than Leona and Alistar in every single way, and you can just argue because Rel's more modern. But yeah, higher passive sunlight, which obviously makes her team do more damage to the target, has that applied, if I'm not mistaken. Mana cost of a Q is going down, which is nice, and mana cost of E, so that's it. So nothing major. Okay. Morgana. E shield strength increased. R damage and bonus movement speed increased as well. Okay. Again, Riot did buff Brand jungle last patch. Morgana has jungle scaling. I wonder if they're kind of like, oh, let's get her back in the jungle. Because the problem that you've got, and I will say, Morgana, unless she's statistically OP, and I'd say mainly probably only in jungle, she's never going to be played in high rating. Like, ever. She's too basic. Like, for what she can do and the risk factor involved to actually playing Morgana when, you know, when I've always said how you explain champion strength in a basic way is think of 100% bar. And the way that you're supposed to design a champion, and this isn't just a league thing, this is a video game thing, but the way that you're supposed to design a character is you've got 100% of absolute strength that a character should have. How much of that percentage is getting divided up in different areas? So some champions, they might be equally like their passive, their Q, their W, their E, their R. They all have exact, like, you know, it's all roughly the same 20%, you know, in every single ability. Obviously, for most champions in the league, ultimates are a very big thing. So, like 30 to 40% of their power will be in their ultimate, which means their W are very much often is the 10%. You know, that's where that power's gone. The thing with Morgana is when it comes to percentages of, like, you know, 100%, it doesn't feel like Morgana's got 100% of a power compared to a lot of champions in the game of what they can do. And also with Morgana, so much of her power is put into the Q because it is a very strong ability if you land it. And in high rating, it's really high to land when it's a slow moving Q and people are pretty good at the game, good at movement, good at dodging, good reactions for flashing and stuff. So it is harder to pull her off in high rating. She's always fine for like average ranks. Even now, before this buff, she's fine. But yeah. Shield strength though is going up. Base shield by 20. It's not bad. And then the R, the damage of it is going up by base. And the movement speed that she's getting, so again, when she applies it, she then actually has better movement speed to stay on top of people so they can't run away as easily before the stun happens. That's the idea. Fair enough. Neferi, W cooldown increased early, E AD ratio decreased. So, nerfs, basically. They did rework her too strong. Again, it's the Riot special. They rework everything too strong because their playtesting is not enough. It's that simple. I also need to sneeze. Bless me. W though 22 seconds was the starting rank cooldown. 26 seconds now. That is quite a big nerf. But eventually, sorry, it's 18 seconds anyway, so it doesn't really matter. E though, the dash damage is going down 40% bonus from 50. She'll feel that more in mid to late game. So yeah, there are two nerfs at the very least. So yeah, that's good. Orianna, Q mana cost reduced. Wow, they're giving her a good buff. The thing with Orianna, what's actually mad, I don't know if it's technically true, but I would wager it is. I believe Orianna of all time has appeared in patch notes practically the least of any champion in League. Why? She's pretty much the best balanced champion in League history forever. She's always viable, pretty much. She requires skill to play. She can play practically into anything, you know. She has better matchups and she has not amazing matchups, but she can play into anything. You know, there's not like an absolute direct counter that she cannot exist in a game. Doesn't exist. Like, she can play. And yeah, she's just very good. Her kit is exactly what you want it to be. There's no absolute craziness with it, but you know exactly what this champion should do. So she's an absolute success champion in my book. Rengo, recommended items updated. Ooh. Interesting. So it's basically a buff for basically Rengar only, and this is where to say only to basically not great Rengar players. Because if you're a really good Rengar player and you actually know what items better synergize with him, you would ignore recommended items and you'd build the good items. But obviously, 90% of players don't do that, even up in like Diamond 1 Master, even in Challenger, people become a bit lazy because there's a recommended item system now. So yeah, this is a buff on average for Rengar, but probably to the absolute best Rengars, it makes no difference. But that's fine. I think Rengar is a strong champion, so he doesn't need an absolute buff. But yeah. Shen. More buffs. We're happy with the recent Shen buffs directionally, but they haven't quite hit the magnitude we're looking for. They really want him to be meta. We've given him more utility, but what he needs now is more damage. Yeah. So his empowered bonus magic damage. So basically, is that the one? I always get a bit confused because you do get better stuff if you directly, I think, bring your sword through a target. It might be that, or maybe even if you just press Q. I don't know. But you basically, the empowered magic damage, target's max HP, it's getting buffed 1% per rank. And again, when people are walking around with 5,000 plus health, 7% of that target max HP, that's a lot of damage in one auto attack. That's the idea. So that's very good for top. So again, they're buffing something. I don't even know what you'd call Shen. Is he a juggernaut? Is he a tank? I don't know. I'd put him in the same kind of category. Yeah, like Trundle. Like, he's less of a duelist, but he has elements of that. But you see, they're doing stuff about the top lane thing, weirdly all into Shen, but they're screwing the burst mages who cannot play against it. This is why, by the way, just to make it very clear, why don't you play mid lane anymore? Because Riot is literally just screwing mid. The only thing that was good for mid, they are about to nerf when we go to the patch notes, by the way. And they're staying with health stacking Juggernaut meta in top lane. So I'm good at Juggernauts. To be honest, I think everybody can be good at Juggernauts. So you may as well abuse that. Mr. Yorick. Mr. Walker damage to monsters going down. So yeah, just a little bit of a nerf to Mr. Yorick. Pinged abilities. Feast and Consume. Cho'Gath and Nunu can ping their smite-like abilities to display their damage to teammates. That's good. I like that. So, like, you can ping your smite. You can ping actually how much your feast will do. Item changes. Movement speed for boots of Swifties. Nerf. Symbiotic souls now grant 10 outer movement speed, but they no longer give you the empowered recall. So, yeah. Wait, is that... So wait, is that the 4-second base instead of the 8-second base? They don't give that anymore. Is that? Or is it... I don't know. I think it's that. Fair enough. Rod of Ages nerf. So again, the only thing that has been making a lot of people feel that mid lane has been viable in the health stacking meta is, guess what? Build a health stacking item. Rod of Ages. Again, I don't think it's been that good personally, but it's more the premise of the player base has thought it's good. That's what they are doing to answer the health stacking meta, and Riot is nerfing that, not actually affecting the health stacking meta at all. It's weird. So the initial health is going down. The maximum health is going down by 50. The ability power is being nerfed in both, minimum and max. So it's just nerfs across the board. All nerfs. And they're giving nothing to be like, okay, we're nerfing this. Let's give you this as a buff. Hello, Miss Mize. It's really weird. I don't get it. Hello, puppies. Tier 3 boot upgrade. Feat of Strength have 2 rewards. Immediate power from the form of Triumphant boot upgrades. And the option later to purchase the Tier 3 boot. Obviously, the Tier 3 boots, for the most part, have kind of sucked. And they haven't been financially worth it until you're basically absolute full build. So they are making them cheaper. So 750 gold is a decent amount of gold that you're like, oh, I'll save to 1,000 gold to get a better item. You can quite often just go randomly back to base with 500, and they're keeping all the stats the same. So where they weren't cost effective at 750, if someone does the math, I imagine they are cost effective at 500. So I imagine we'll be buying these. If you do get Feat of Strength, I imagine we're buying the Tier 3 upgrade earlier than we were. Would it be really early? No. I think you'll still go probably 3 full items. Yeah, I'd say about 3 full items until you actually commit to buying the boot upgrade. Roughly. So there's that. I don't know what Forever Forward are, but maybe they're the Symbiotic Soul one, maybe. Oh, what you got there? Shall I show you guys my wonderful dog? She has a sock. She has got a sock, and she is showing it to me because she is a good girl, and even if she gets something that she's not supposed to, she brings it to us to show us that she's got something she's not supposed to. I'll get that after. Good job, pup. You can just see her. Wait, could you see? Look at her nose. Good girl. No, don't nudge me now. All done. All right. So Spellslinger shoes. Oh look, every other one is being nerfed. You know, they're being nerfed in general, but all the tank ones are just having a buff. You know, it's becoming cheaper. The mage ones are actually getting a magic pen nerf. Riot hate mages. Like, for years, they have hated mages. It's crazy. Woof. And then Swift March is also getting some changes. All right, so Ignite is being buffed. Wow. So again, Ignite has always kind of fallen off because its late game has just never been good. They are giving it a damage buff. And Diverges at level 7. Okay. So they're making Ignite a little bit better in late game. It's still not going to be as good as TP. Side lane advantage, pushing for towers, giving positive, you know, pressure on a side lane, and then having the ability to teleport to go help your team. Ignite's never going to be as good as that, but that's not the point. Is they're trying to make it, I guess, more viable for champions that have to take Ignite. Because there are some, they do exist. Like, you have to take Ignite, in my opinion, on a Renekton, because otherwise, if you don't snowball early, it's game over anyway. You know, most Rivens now take Ignite because they want to build that lane lead, and, you know, it's the way of it. All right, runes, Biscuit of Everlasting Will. They're not giving mana. So biscuits are intended to be a lane sustain tool with some decision making around their optimal usage. Technically, the lower health you are, the better. But their current state highly rewards saving them until late game. True, because you get the most amount of health, you know, because you get more health anyway. So now it used to be 12% on missing health over 5 seconds. It's now 20 health plus 2% maximum health, increased by up to 100% based on the user's missing health. Okay. So they're making it less good for later game of this, so you can use them into the earlier game without feeling that you should save them, I guess. Unflinching, bonus armor and MR is being flattened to 10, so it's an early game buff, but a late game nerf. Fair enough. ARAM changes, rotating game modes. Oh, I was like, do you guys know about... Yeah, you know about the new mode that's coming. Brawl, is it called? That isn't coming, if I'm not mistaken, until the next patch, I think. I think it's in the I think it's the next patch or even the patch after. And then if you're wondering how long is that staying, it's staying for 3 patch cycles. So basically it's staying for a month and a half. But I think it's coming... it's not coming this patch. I think it's coming one into the sea. I don't know, something like that. You'll find out. But that is it. That's gonna be it. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you appreciate me doing this. It is very dark outside. But yeah, I'm gonna now edit it, get it uploaded, make the thumbnail, and then go to bed. Yay! But anyway, if you guys did enjoy, let me know what you think of the patch as always. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.
Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play. It's us and games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine. You'll learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree.